Welcome back, everybody, to the Baltimore Orioles franchise here on MLB The Show 21. Today, we have got a pretty busy episode in which we will be going over the 2024 MLB Draft. Now, normally when I do draft episodes, I have them in their own separate video, but since this is the first draft in which we don't own a top pick, added on with the fact that as the series goes along, drafts are becoming a little bit less important, I figured it wouldn't really be worth it to have the draft in its own episode, but I still wanted to dedicate a nice sum of time to talk about all of our selections. We've drafted very well so far in this series. Now, we have had quite a few top picks to use, but we have taken advantage of those selections. In year one, we had the 5th overall pick, the very first draft pick of the series, in which we selected Louis St. John, and that pick ended up being a grand slam, with him making an all-star team as a 19-year-old rookie last year. In year two, we had the number 1 overall pick, in which we drafted Xavier Bowman, who's been a little bit disappointing this season, but I think he was still worth the pick. And then last year, the 3rd overall selection, Shane Kovalevsky, who so far has been lighting it up in AAA. We've had quite a few other notable draft picks the past few seasons, including Julian Starnes, who just made his Major League debut in the last episode. So I think we've drafted fairly well these past few seasons, and now that we don't have a top pick, it's going to be a little bit more challenging, but I think we can do it. So we own the 27th overall selection in this year's draft. We do own a pick in the short round right after round 1. That's like pick 32. Jeffrey Reese is the number 1 overall pick to the Tigers. All the blue chip players are long gone. So my strategy here is to pick someone whose scouting accuracy is at least in the yellow, whose MLB ETA is in within the next few seasons, and their potential is an 80. There aren't a ton of players who fit my criteria, and overall I do think this is a fairly weak draft class, but there are quite a few guys I like. So with the first round selection in the 2024 MLB Draft, the Baltimore Orioles will be selecting Merrill Fordenberry, a first baseman hailing from Pennsylvania. He is a 6'2" righty, phenomenal contact hitter, pretty good power, good vision, good discipline. Defensively, he's not great, but this is a guy who's going to hit for a high average and be someone who hopefully can be a 300 hitter in his career. With our next pick, we will be looking at starting pitcher Mario Acevedo. He is a 21-year-old left-hander from Cuba. I want to add some more left-handers to the system. Pretty well-rounded guy. He has 5 pitches to his repertoire. Doesn't have many glaring weaknesses to his game. And I think he can be a major league quality starter within a few seasons. On to the second round. The amount of players who fit my criteria are quickly diminishing. There are only a few left. One of whom is reliever D'Angelo Ashton, a 21-year-old lefty. Again, another lefty. The more lefties, the merrier. He's another well-rounded guy, has 4 pitches. Doesn't have a regular fastball. He has a running fastball along with a few other off-speed pitches. But overall, in the second round, I think he's a fairly good pick. On to the third round. I believe there was only one guy who completely filled my criteria. It was another reliever in Jack Curry. He is 20 years old, hailing from Ohio. Only 3 pitches, but I think he's pretty polished, has good velocity, good break to his pitches, and I think he could be a major league caliber reliever within the next few seasons. On to the fourth round, and as we get towards the latter portion of the draft, it's really starting to become a crapshoot. So we're going to take a total shot in the dark with this pick, selecting an outfielder, Adrian Spanos, also from Pennsylvania, 5'7", 167. He is a lefty. Now, we have drafted players who we've never scouted in the past, and it's completely worked with guys like Felix Rosa and Cosmo Cruz, so hopefully it'll work out with Spanos. Into the 5th round, we're going to select Vic Bull. He is a second baseman who has a sick name. That's partly why I picked him. 19 years old from Oklahoma. I don't think he has a ton of upside, but maybe he could be like a backup infielder type, and if that's what you're getting in the 5th round, it's a pretty good pick. On to the 6th round. We really do not have a lot of players to pick from. We can only choose between 7 guys, and we're going to go with another shot in the dark in right fielder Will Lynn. Again, a player who we have not scouted at all, and as I said, when we've drafted players who we have not scouted, it's worked out. So hopefully with these 2 outfielders, we can produce similar luck. So that will conclude the season number 4 draft, and overall, our draft was okay. It wasn't outstanding, but it wasn't awful either. Merrill Fordenberry is only a 60 overall, which is a little bit worse than I had hoped, but he does have 86 potential. I could see him being a long-term piece of the future. Mario Acevedo was definitely our best selection. He has a higher rating than I believe anybody else we drafted, and he also has the highest potential at 87. D'Angelo Ashton doesn't look too bad, 62 overall, 79 potential. For being a round 2, I'm not really too upset with that. Jack Curer isn't awful. I thought he was going to be a little bit better, 59 overall, 75 potential. I guess it could have been worse. Adrian Spanos ends up being a bust. He is a 54 overall with 69. Nice potential. Vic Bull here isn't awful. He can't really hit. 64 overall, 73 potential. For the end of the 5th round, it could be worse. And then Will Lynn also is a bust. So the 2 players we did not scout at all end up sucking, which you'd think would normally be the case, but with our luck, it has not yet. Overall, this was, as I said, a really weak draft class, in my opinion. There really weren't a ton of great players down the board. That's not to say there weren't any. There were quite a few super high potentials, including Frank Trujillo, who is 98, the number 1 overall pick. Jeffrey Reese is 96. Estevan Santana, he is a relief pitcher with 98 potential going to the Oakland A's, who have already drafted a reliever with 99 potential in this series. So that back end of the A's bullpen might be really scary in a few seasons. There weren't really many teams who did better than us. I think the Los Angeles Dodgers had a really good draft with 3 86-plus potential guys. But outside of that, there weren't really any teams who I think did drastically better than us. So overall, I'm happy with our hold, all things considered. Definitely our worst draft class, but we also did not get a blue-chip player to select from. We are going to make a quick trade, actually. We're going to send Gunnar Henderson to the Angels for starting pitching prospect Kyron Baldwin. It's a minor league swap, but it does involve 2 high-profile prospects, which is fairly interesting. Henderson really has not progressed how I'd hoped. He is currently hitting 208 in AA with an OPS at around 500, which is really bad. And he's been in AA every year this series. He really has not improved how I would have hoped. And I think moving on from him, getting, in my opinion, a better prospect in Kyron Baldwin, who is doing very well in AA, makes a lot of sense. Now, Henderson is a 75 overall, whereas Baldwin is only a 66, and the age difference between the two is only a year, but Baldwin does have 8 potential, and I would not mind adding some more talented prospects to our pitching. So that will conclude the draft and the trades for today's episode, or I guess trade singular. So now let's talk about the big league team, and we are not doing all that well. We did just have a nice performance on the mound from guess who? Yerman Marquez, who has still been the Cy Young of the American League this year probably, but we're really not doing that well. We were on like a 5-game losing streak before that game, and the team is cold for the most part. There are a lot of guys who are really slumping. Elliot Ramos is hitting .215 on the year. Jalen Miller is struggling. Louis St. John is kind of struggling. Max Muncie still hasn't really picked it up. I will say, Heston Kjerstad's been fine this year. There's been a ton of Heston Kjerstad slander in the comments, and I just want to point out, I get that he's injury prone, I get that he's been a little bit disappointing, but he's been fairly good this year. I've been impressed for the most part. The pitching, not a whole lot really has changed other than the John Means injury in the previous episode, which slides Eliezer Hernandez into the rotation, and of course Julian Starnes down the bullpen. I know his ERA is at 11, but I think in the limited action he's pitched, he really hasn't been too bad. So we're going to play this game against the Toronto Blue Jays, who have been playing some really good baseball. They're only a game and a half behind us, and with them being hot and us being cold, this is a really important game that we win, because we don't want the Blue Jays to gain the momentum in the divisional race. If we can lead this series, tying it at 2, I think it would be a success considering how we've played the past few weeks. Here's a look at both lineups, regular starters for the most part. Instead of Ryan Mountcastle, it'll be the struggling Marco Luciano at shortstop, who is hitting .205 on the year. He might be seeing a minor league demotion soon because he has not picked up his play. Alek Manoah will be on the bump for the Blue Jays. He's been bleh this year, 4.17 ERA, 1.54 whip, as he does strike out Louis St. John, whose OPS, I think, at the beginning of this losing streak for the Orioles was at like 850. Now it's barely above 800, which is a major downfall for the span of like a week or two. Eliezer Hernandez making his 2nd start of the year for Baltimore. He's also seen some action out of the bullpen as well this season. He was pitching really well in AAA, but so far in the majors, he has struggled. Here is Bo Bichette with 2 away. Hits this one high and deep in the left field. Kjerstad chasing after it, and that one is gone. I don't really know what Kjerstad was doing out there in left, but it doesn't really matter. The ball goes over the fence regardless. And the Toronto Blue Jays are quickly on the board as their all-star shortstop, Bo Bichette, will make it 1-0. But Anthony Rizzo will immediately answer back. Rizzo gets that one over the fence for a home run of his own, his 10th of the year, and the Orioles will tie it at 1. Rizzo is another player who's been slumping as of recent. His average has taken quite a hit. Bottom 2, George Springer leading things off. That one will go down the first base line off the side wall for a double. So far, so good for the Toronto offense. Eliezer Hernandez needs to show a lot in this game. He needs to prove that he belongs in the rotation. And so far today, he has definitely struggled. This is Teoscar Hernandez, the following batter, with a double of his own. That'll drive in Springer, and the Toronto Blue Jays will quickly gain the lead right back, as it is now 2-1. Nice double for Hernandez, his 9th of the year. Now Hernandez is in a little bit of a jam as he gets Danny Jansen to take a big swing and a miss. Gabriel Moreno is now up, 2 away, full count, and he will strike out. Big K for Hernandez, and we will go to the 3rd. Adley Rutschman up for Baltimore, going a little Oppo Taco. That one in the left should go for extras. A 2-out double for Adley Rutschman, and Baltimore gets their first base runner of the game. I'm not counting Anthony Rizzo because he was technically never really on base. That'll bring up Jalen Miller, who started the year off strong, but he, like pretty much everybody else on this team, has not been hitting the ball that well as of recent. He lines out to first. Nice play by Tellez. And we go to the bottom of the 3rd. Bo Bichette goes down to the fastball. It seems like Eliezer Hernandez is starting to pitch a little bit better for the most part. Rowdy Tellez now with 2 away. Nice play at second by Jalen Miller. The Orioles' defense has also been a little bit up and down as of recent, to add on with the lineup struggles. Top 4, 2 away for Anthony Rizzo. That one is so high it might have touched the moon. Springer at the wall, it's gone. What a start to this ball game for Anthony Rizzo. 2 for 2 with 2 home runs. Doesn't really get much better than that. And the Orioles are going to tie it up at 2. That'll bring up Elliot Ramos, who has really struggled the past month or two. Like Marco Luciano, I could see a minor league demotion being in his future because he's got to get his act together. He does get a single there, so I suppose that's cool. That'll bring up Max Muncie. 2-1, 2 away here for Muncie, who has really been in a slump all year. I don't know what his deal's been. That one is high, deep in the center at the wall, and it is caught by Springer. Still not a bad inning, as the Orioles do tie the game up, but it will not be tied for long. Danny Jansen crushes this one in the left. That one is out of here, and the Toronto Blue Jays are right back on top, as it is now 5-4. Here is Miguel Hiraldo, and this one will go into right center. That one is gone. Back-to-back home runs for the Blue Jays, and they will take a 2-run lead. And at this point, a pitching change needs to be made. Adrian Morejon will be in for the Orioles as the lone reliever. He's had a pretty good season this year for the most part, and he would get Gabriel Moreno to ground out to second. Good inning, though, for the Blue Jays. They do drive in a couple, and they will regain their lead right back, as it is now 4-2. Top of the 5th, Eston Kjerstad will line this one into center. Kjerstad continuing his solid play as one of the few players who have actually been good over the past couple of weeks. Jalen Miller is now up with 2 away. This one is hit fairly nicely into right, but not nicely enough. It will be caught by the outfielder Raimel Tapia, and the Orioles have really struggled with runners on base today. I don't think they had a single hit with a runner on. Speaking of Raimel Tapia, here he is in the bottom of the 5th. That one goes off the wall, out and right. The throw from Castellanos is not going to be in time, and it's off the mark. So a no-out double for Tapia. We'll see if Morejon can get out of this jam as he strikes out Cavan Biggio. And Morejon would make it through the inning without allowing any runs. So now we go to the 6th. It's Nick Castellanos with a single into left. I will say Castellanos is still playing really well. He has not slumped for the most part, so that's good that him and Kjerstad are still hitting well, and I guess Adley Rutschman too. So it's Nate Pearson in for Toronto. Alek Manoah's day is done. Anthony Rizzo with a big swing and a miss. He does not get his 3rd home run of the ball game, unable to get the hat trick. Now let's go bottom 6. 2-2 here for Teoscar Hernandez. One away. Goes down on the low slider. Adrian Morejon has been really good since entering the game. Now here against Danny Jansen, the very next at bat. See ya, wanna be ya. He goes down looking. Eliezer Hernandez with 2 1/3 shutout innings. And obviously he has a lot of stamina. He'll be able to go a little bit longer. Top 7, Heston Kjerstad with a nice single into right. So the Orioles get themselves another base runner, however, with 2 away. And again, they have struggled with runners on base. That'll bring up Adley Rutschman, whose average has gone up the past couple of weeks, but he is going to ground out to third. The play will be made by Geraldo. That'll end the inning. Score remains 4-2. We will now hop into the 8th, see if Baltimore can start to get anything going offensively with Blake Trinan now in the game for Toronto, facing off against Louis St. John, who will strike out. LSJ currently 0-for-4 with a trio of Ks. He is the hat trick, but not the hat trick you really hope for. Bottom 8, Morejon still in, still pitching really well as he gets Kevin Biggio to go down on the inside slider. Things are really going well for Adrian Morejon, but that narrative would quickly change as Bo Bichette with an opposite field dinger, his second home run of the game. So both Bichette and Rizzo have multi-home run games. Bichette with his 18th of the year, and it's now 5-2. Rowdy Tellez now also goes into right. That one is also gone. And for the second time today, the Toronto Blue Jays have gone back-to-back. That'll bring up George Springer now. Score is 6-2. Why not make it 7-2? 3 home runs in a row for the Toronto Blue Jays. Bichette, Tellez, and Springer. The Orioles want to keep Adrian Morejon in. They don't want to waste one of their bullpen arms, but this is starting to get rough. Teoscar Hernandez, the next batter, would keep it in the yard, but it will go for a double. And at this point, Baltimore really does not have a choice. They're going to have to take Morejon out. And Julian Starnes will get his 3rd Major League appearance of his career. Hopefully it's a good one. Danny Jansen rips that one into left. That'll go for a base hit. Hernandez rounding 3rd. The throw from Luciano to the plate is just not in time. So that'll be an RBI single. The earned run will go against Morejon, not Starnes. And now we go to the 9th. The score is 8-2. The Orioles are not looking good. They need 6 to tie, 7 to take the lead. And hey, that's a good start. Anthony Rizzo with a single into center, his 3rd base hit of the day. Really the only Oriole to have an impressive day offensively, at least so far. Elliot Ramos now 1-2. He's going to single into left. That is the first base hit today for the Orioles with a runner on base. It took pretty much 9 innings, but they finally did it. Max Muncie is now up. Count is 1-2. Still nobody out. And this one will go past the glove of Geraldo for a single into left. The runner will hold up at 3rd. And the bases are now loaded. The Orioles are going to put on the rally caps. They're trying to make a comeback. Heston Kjerstad is now up. 2-2. 1 away. Grounds this one to second. 4-6-3. That's your ball game. A fitting way to end this one with bases loaded to ground into a double play. And the Orioles, just with runners on base today, were so bad. The offense was I mean, other than Anthony Rizzo, no one was overly impressive. Hernandez struggled. Morejon was good up until the 8th inning, and then he completely fell off the face of the earth. And then Julian Starnes was fine. The Blue Jays hit the ball really well. 6 home runs, including 2 of which were back-to-back. And at one point, they had 3 home runs in a row back in that 8th inning. Manoah pitched pretty well. The bullpen did their job. So we're going to end the episode off here. We're not going to sim any further. And that's because at the beginning of next episode, this team needs to assess where it is, and we need to make some moves. Things are clearly not going well right now. The Blue Jays are only half a game behind us, and we are really struggling, and we have to make some roster moves, whether that's making a drastic trade, whether that's sending players who are struggling down to the minors, like Luciano and Ramos. We have to make some changes before things really get off the rails, and things could get ugly. We're still winning the division, and we're still capitalizing off of our strong start to the year, but we've got to clean it up. So that's going to end today's episode. Let me know what you thought of the draft. Let me know what moves you think we should do going into the next episode to try to get back on track. Make sure to hit the like button and subscribe to the channel if you are new. Adios.